Decades after Todd McFarlane first teased it, the Spawn reboot is finally happening, thanks to Blumhouse. After all these years, there's a lot of buzz about Jamie Foxx stepping into the role of Spawn. Introduced by Image Comics in 1992's Spawn #1, Spawn is one of the most iconic comic book characters outside of Marvel and DC. The character has seen various adaptations, including a well-regarded animated series and a live-action movie from the same year that didn't do too well critically. Although the live-action film starring Michael Jai White as Al Simmons' Spawn didn't hit the commercial heights New Line Cinema hoped for, it has developed a cult following. With ongoing interest in the franchise, Todd McFarlane is partnering with Blumhouse for the reboot. Jamie Foxx is set to play Spawn, and there's been a lot of work done on what could be one of the longest-in-the-making comic book movies ever. Unlike many long-delayed Hollywood projects, the Spawn reboot has been making steady progress. Todd McFarlane recently shared that the reboot is at a critical stage for funding, and if Hollywood doesn't come through soon, they'll have to find another investor. McFarlane is optimistic about his producer Jason Blum, saying, "Obviously, Jason Blum is one of the best at getting things done." He also mentioned that they've seen the script for the first time, indicating that development is moving along after being stalled for much of the 2023 due to the WGA strike. Todd McFarlane first announced the Spawn reboot back in 1998, but it wasn't until Blumhouse got involved in 2017 that things really started to pick up. By 2020, Blumhouse had confirmed that development was officially underway. As for the release, the Spawn reboot is slated for 2025. Although there's no exact date yet, Jason Blum confirmed in September 2023 that the movie, starring Jamie Foxx, is still on track for that year. The project has faced delays from the WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes, as well as Jamie Foxx's health issues. The upcoming Blumhouse Spawn reboot is set to star Jamie Foxx, who is known for his roles in hits like Django Unchained, Ray, Strays, and Day Shift. Foxx will play Al Simmons, who transforms into the anti-hero Spawn. As of now, there haven't been any additional casting announcements, including who will take on the role of Violator. However, Todd McFarlane has hinted that the film will feature more A-list talent alongside Jamie Foxx. Details about the Spawn reboot story are still pretty under wraps, but we do know it will be R-rated and is expected to stick closely to the origin from Todd McFarlane's original comics. The reboot will follow Al Simmons, a Marine who's brutally killed by those he trusted. Instead of staying dead, he's resurrected as Hellspawn, a superpowered being sent from the underworld to punish the damned. As Spawn, Simmons chooses to use his powers for good rather than just seeking vengeance. This is the core of the reboot's plot, though the character has a lot more depth and complexity. Spawn became famous in the 90s for embodying the brooding anti-hero archetype, offering a stark contrast to Marvel and DC heroes of the time. While the 1997 film didn't hit the mark McFarlane hoped for, the new Blumhouse reboot could finally bring the demonic hero the live-action success he's been aiming for. I really hope they showcase more of Spawn's superpowers this time around. The last film barely scratched the surface. Superpowers are what set superhero movies apart from regular ones, and Spawn has a ton of them. Todd and Jamie should definitely make the most of that. If you've only seen the movie or cartoon, you might not know much about Spawn's powers. With the reboot of the film franchise coming up, we thought it'd be a good idea to dive into some of Spawn's lesser-known abilities. There are plenty more powers, but after some discussion, we picked out those that we thought were the coolest. Density alteration. Spawn can change his density. Even though he weighs between 450 and 500 pounds, thanks to the heavy necroplasm, he can make himself even denser when needed. For example, in one issue, he was in his favorite alley and had to stop a speeding car. Instead of just flagging it down or using someone nearby to block it, he stepped in front of the car and increased his density. The car was going 67 miles per hour, but Spawn didn't move an inch, which means he had to make himself incredibly dense, over 8,100 pounds, to withstand the impact. So while most people try to lose weight, Spawn has no problem adding it on when it suits him. Nature control. Spawn has gained control over nature during his quest to regain his humanity, making his powers even more unusual. After coming into contact with Green's world, He was granted the ability to manipulate nature, adding a new dimension to his already hellish abilities. This made him even more formidable as he prepared for his eventual showdown with Urizen. Urizen was a god from before Heaven and Hell, known for devouring souls. He was sealed away until the cult of Urizen brought him back to Earth. In their first fight, Urizen easily defeated Spawn, but with his new Green's World powers, Spawn came back to face him again. He summoned an entire forest to slow Urizen down and used his control over the Earth to trap the god within the planet's crust. The only part of Urizen left above ground was his fingers, which became encased in rock and earned the spot the name the demon's right hand, a key element in later stories. Pyrokinesis. Given that Spawn's powers come straight from Hell, it's no surprise he can control fire. He can breathe hellfire at will and manage it around him however he wants. Throughout the series, he's used his fire abilities to burn enemies, create fiery barriers, and surround himself with flames to keep people at bay. Plus, he's completely unaffected by heat or fire, unlike regular folks. Spawn's fire control lets him travel to and from Hell and shoot energy bolts that resemble hellfire. At one point, he even barfs out hellfire just to show off. He doesn't need anything special to make fire. He can create it anytime and anywhere he chooses. Immortal level regeneration. Spawn took a batarang right to the face. When you're out there fighting demons and gods, you're bound to get a few bumps and bruises. He's had his limbs ripped off and even his heart taken out, so he's used to fixing himself up. There was this one time when Spawn went up against Batman, and Batman threw a batarang that split Spawn's face wide open. To save some power, Spawn just stitched his face back together with a shoestring, which stuck around in his head for a while. When he finally decides to use his powers to fix himself, it takes a bit of effort, but he can return to his supernatural state pretty easily. His first battle with the Violator was rough. His arm got ripped off, and his heart was crudely removed. After that fight, Malebolgia took care of his minion's injuries. From then on, it was up to Spawn when and how he wanted to heal. He doesn't seem too bothered by the damage. He usually just looks really ticked off. So his repairs are more about looking good than actually being necessary. Well, that's it for today. What do you think? Which of Spawn's powers are you most excited to see on the big screen? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more awesome content. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.